Hey guys, happy Thursday. Of course, I'm not here today again, but you guys know the deal. What I want to do today is just basically more practice on factoring quadratics. So again, quadratics is anything that has x to the second power being the highest power. And again, what we want to do today is split that up, factor, break it apart. So again, one more time, this is our objective. By the end of today, you guys should be professionals. You'll be quizzed on this tomorrow. So again, our job is to take a quadratic, which is x to the second power being the highest exponent, and we want to use the Punnett square, but now this time in reverse, to break it apart into our two factors. What were our two binomials, our two factors, that created that original quadratic? So we're going to jump right into it. Again, basic practice. Take a second. If you remember from yesterday, try this out. If you weren't here yesterday, again, maybe watch the actual example. All right, here we go. Take a second, pause it. Alright, so again, this is the way that it works. We know that we get our very first term from the very first box when we multiply two binomials together to get that quadratic. Now the very last piece here, that negative 12, we get that from the very last box. Okay, now when I combine my like terms here in the middle, these guys right here, they should hopefully give me that negative x or that negative 1x. Right, those two like terms will give you the middle term here. All right, well, let's go ahead and figure this out. Well, I know that x times x will give me x to the second power. All right, that's the easy one right there, right? Now, how do I get negative 12? Well, I have multiple combinations here. So let me go ahead and list what are all my possibilities. Well, negative 12, I can be something like 2 and a negative 6, or negative 2 and a positive 6. Okay, I can say negative 3 and positive 4. I can say positive 3 and negative 4. I can also say negative 1 and 12, or positive 1 and negative 12. I think I've got everything right. I did 1 times something, 2, 3, 4. So again, now it's a matter of just, hey, I got to pick the right one. And again, I want to be smart about this. Hey, negative 1, which of these is it going to be? So again, if you're kind of smart about it, you can kind of think ahead. I'm just going to pick the first one, see what happens. 2 and negative 6. So if I make this a positive 2 and I make this a negative 6, well, 2 times negative 6 is negative 12. That checks out. So when I combine my like terms diagonally here in a second, they should give me negative 1. Well, what's 2 times x? That is a 2x. What is x times negative 6? That is negative 6x. Now, negative 6x is positive 2x's will give me negative 4, and that's not what I need. I needed a negative 1. So, oh my god, no, the world's not going to end. No, it's not over. No, you didn't do anything wrong. Okay? And that just wasn't the right combination. Okay? So let's go ahead and pick. That one did not work. A different one. So maybe not try negative 2 and 6. Maybe let's skip over here to the 3's and the 4's. I'm gonna go with this guy right here. I'm going to make this a positive 3. I'll make the other one a negative 4. So let's check this out. 3 times negative 4 is still negative 12. Check. What's 3 times x? That is a 3x. What is x times negative 4? That's negative 4x. Now when I combine them, negative 4x's plus 3x's will give me negative 1. Is that exactly what I need if I follow it? Yes, I did need a negative 1. So I now know my two factors. My two binomials are x plus 3 and x minus 4. And again, guys, do not stress if you do not get it right on the very first combination. Again, this is kind of a guess and check. Once you do so many, though, you start kind of getting the hang of it. What I want you guys to do, take a second, just pick one, and we'll go through it. Alright, so there we have number 1 for standard met. If you chose that one, again, your two factors when you break apart that quadratic, x plus 6 and x minus 2. So let's try the one on the right over here. I know x squared, my first term goes in the first box. And I also know that my last term here, negative 40, will go in the last box. Okay, now what two things multiply to give me x squared? Well, that's going to be an x times an x. I can do that one right away. Now again, I need factors of negative 40. What things multiply to give me negative 40 here on the sides? But when I combine, again, once more time, my diagonal here, those guys should add up to give me negative 6x's. Well, negative 40, what are all my combinations? Let's see, negative 40, I got negative 4 and 10, I got positive 4 and negative 10, I got 2 and negative 20, or if I switch the signs, negative 2 and a positive 20, what else do I have? 1, 2, 3, 5, I can say 5 and 8, one of those is negative, so negative 5, or what if I say positive 5 and negative 8? So those are all my combinations, right? think I got all. If I didn't, I hope I can get the right combination here. So let's go ahead and pick one. Which one are we going to pick? Now again, what's going on in my brain right now? I'm thinking, hey, how can I get a -6? Which of these combinations, if I kind of just start looking at them, like with a 5 and an 8, am I able to somehow get a 6 out of that? I'm like, nah. 2 and a -20, can I get a 6 out of that? Nah. The 4 and the negative, yeah. This looks to me like the 1 right there. Okay, so let's put +4. Let's try that out. -10. What's 4? So, sorry, 4 times -10 is -40. That works out. But 4 times x is 4x. X times the -10 is -10x's. And when I combine those 4x's minus the 10x's, that absolutely gives me -6x's, which is what I needed. Everything checked out. My two factors are x plus 4 and x minus 10 here on this side. That is the factored form broken down to the two binomials. Alright, same deal, guys. Take a second, pick one. So again, standard met. For beyond standard, be careful. That is not in standard form, so watch out with that. Alright guys, so here we go. If you did the beyond standard, again, the very first thing, I tried to trick you on this one, yes I did. You have to put it in standard form. Again, x to the second, the one that has the x, and then your constant at the very end. And again, x squared goes in the first box, 42 goes in the last box. Now my combination is here to get 42. I was using 2 and 21, -2 and -21. Remember, don't forget about that double negative combination. Negative times a negative will give you a positive. And that was the case for this problem. I chose -7 times -6. A negative times a negative gives you +42 in this case. Okay. And then -7x, and I got -6x. When I combine a -6 and a -7, because they're both negatives, I'm going to add, keep the same sign. And I got -13x. Everything checked out. Alright, let's go over here for standard met. So again, x squared goes in the very, very first box. Alright, my constant, the one that does not have a variable, that goes at the very, very end. Okay, and again, I have to make sure that my diagonals, my like terms here, will combine hopefully to give me that -6x that I needed. Okay, let's go ahead and start filling this out. Well, again, what times what gives us x squared? That's going to be x times x. Okay, now factors that multiply to give me 5. And again, my options, well, what's the only options that I have here? It's 1 times 5. And don't forget, again, that double negative. I can also have a -1 times a -5. Negative times a negative is a positive. All right, so watch out with those double negatives. So I'm going to go here, since my middle term is -6, I'm going to choose the bottom one here. Okay, -1 and a -5. So what's a -1 times a -5? That gives me a +5. That checks out. What do I get in the second box here? -1 times x is -1x. X times a -5 is -5x. Now when I combine those diagonally, my like terms, -1, take away 5 more x's, that gives us -6. Everything checks out. I know my two factors are x minus 1 and x minus 5. There we have it. Alright, let's go on. Same deal, guys. Take a second. Pick one. When you're ready, hit play, please. Alright, guys, if you did standard met, again, that's your answer. Here's the two factors. So again, when I factor this quadratic, I got x plus 7 and x plus 6. So for the beyond standard, alright, let's work this one out. X squared goes in the very first box. Now, my constant without a variable, that one goes at the very end. Now, what happens when I combine these diagonals? My like terms in a second. These guys should eventually give me that -9x. Alright, let's start filling in things with what I know. Now again, x times x will give us x to the second power. Okay, now I need to think, what two things multiply to give me 8? And when I combine my like terms here, will also give me -9. So again, I need factors of 8. Well, that can be 1 times 8. That can also be -1 times -8. Remember, negative times a negative. I could have also said 2 times 4, or I could have said -2 times -4. Alright, here are all my options. Now, I'm going to pick the first one. Why not? 1 and 8. +1, +8. 1 times 8 will give us 8, but what's 1 times x? That is 1x. What is 8 times x? That is 8x. And when I combine these 1x's and 8x's, that gives me +9, and nope. Close but no cookies. I needed a -9x. So again, it's not the end of the world, guys. It's not the end of the world. It's alright. It's alright. Like, we erase it. Bam, bam. Magic, magic, magic. And we go back, grab our pen. That guy did not work. Well, let's move on. Let's try the next one. Why not? I was close. Maybe -1 and negative 8 will work. Negative times a negative is a positive 8. Negative 1 times x is negative 1x. X times negative 8 is negative 8x's. Well, negative 8x's and negative 1x's, when I combine those absolutely give me negative 9x. My factors are x minus 1, x minus 8. There we have it. Alright, last one, guys. Take a second. Pick one. When you're ready to go, please hit play. Alright guys, here we go, last one. So again, if you did the standard met, that's your factors, x plus 7 and x plus 3. Now if we went for the beyond standard, this is a little awkward, it's like what the heck? You know, quadratics, I've been dealing with 3 pieces, 3 terms, a trinomial, but now I have a binomial, so what's the issue here? Well, I still have the x squared. That guy did not change. Ooh, let me use a different color here so we can stay consistent with the whole red. Alright, so here we go. That x squared is still the same. It's still there, right? That's still going to go in the very first box. Now remember, the negative 36 here, it's very similar to the positive 21. That's our constant term. That's the guy that doesn't have a variable. That guy goes at the very, very end. Negative 36, so it's like, what the heck? Where's this middle piece, like the 10x that I had on the left problem over here? Well, if we don't see it, again, what's technically supposed to be in the middle? This should have said x squared plus 0x if you really wanted to see it, minus 36. But again, we don't put the 0x. That looks very tacky. We just kind of get rid of it. It doesn't exist anymore. What's happening is these middle terms will end up canceling out. We get something like a positive 3 and a negative 3 that cancel out. All right. So when I go ahead and try and factor it, when I combine my like terms, I better get two things that cancel out to give me 0x. Well, let's go ahead and see if we can figure this out. Again, x times x will give us x to the second power. How do I get a negative 36? Okay, my options, let's say 6 and negative 6. I got 4 and negative 9. I can also say negative 4 and positive 9. I can say 1 and negative 36, or I can say negative 1 and positive 36. Those are all my factors. Okay, so let's go ahead with the very first one here. 6 and negative 6. Positive 6 and negative 6. So negative 6 times positive 6 will multiply to give us negative 36. What are 6 times x? Those are positive 6x's. X here times negative 6 is negative 6x. Well, what are 6x's minus 6x's? Yeah, those guys actually end up canceling out to give you 0. So again, this does happen here, but we don't write it because these guys will cancel out, and we're left with just x squared minus 36. So I found my two factors. Remember, this is what we call a difference of squares, x plus 6 and x minus 6. There we have it, guys. All right. So again, guys, this basically just takes practice, honestly, and the biggest thing is just kind of messing with your combinations. Like, how many combinations do I have for negative 8? Just playing with your signs. And again, don't stress if you don't get it on the first try. This is a guess and check method. All right. So let's go ahead. Here is your class activity. Again, you are factoring. Keyword that I told you guys is the big F word for this unit. Again, you're factoring each one of these. Tell me what are my two binomials that created that quadratic. Alright guys, just like yesterday, if you have any questions, leave a comment on Google Classroom, send me an email. You can also look it up on YouTube. Please, that's what I'm here for, to help you guys out. Okay, here's your class activity. You guys know what to do. Make sure you guys turn it in. Have a great day.